10. Sleepwalking. Medieval people were very superstitious. If you had a sleep disorder and wandered around with your eyes closed, mumbling to yourself, you were definitely a witch, talking to the devil every night. And if your neighbor's cow got sick in the morning, you would be blamed because you supposedly cast a dark spell at night. 9. Brewing and cheesemaking. When medieval women brewed beer that was too delicious, men would scratch their heads and think, why the hell does she do it? She must be a witch. Congratulations. Now this rumor will spread throughout the village. You'll be considered a witch brewing potions and will be burned at the stake. This also applies if you were too good at making cheese or actually at whatever else. According to medieval beliefs, a witch could steal any quality from a person, including cooking skills. If the nearby cheesemaker produced bad cheese, but you always made very tasty cheese, you would be blamed for using witchcraft. 8. Birthmarks. Yes, you read that correctly. In the 15th century, you could be considered a witch because of a simple birthmark. If you dared to expose your butt near your neighbor, prepare for the Inquisition. In those times, birthmarks were seen as the devil's mark. People believed that the devil descended to earth and left his marks on supposed witches and other evil beings in human form. Inquisitors would prick birthmarks with needles. You might ask, why? It was a test. If the suspect didn't feel pain, they were considered a witch, and sometimes, even if they cried and begged them to stop, they were told, come on, you're just pretending. So there was no way to win that game. 7. Yawning. And when you yawn, do you cover your wide open mouth? Yes, it gets even more absurd. People in the Middle Ages believed that when you yawn loudly, your soul escapes, and demons enter you. Incidentally, one of the symptoms of the plague included excessive yawning. You can guess what the Inquisition would do in such a case. They would give you a hard time, even if you were a child. It's also worth noting that these superstitions were accompanied by the practice of people making the sign of the cross over their mouths while yawning to keep demons out. Another effective method was simply covering the mouth with a hand, a habit that has persisted to this day. 6. Are you left-handed? Congratulations, you're a witch. You see, there were always more right-handed people than left-handed ones, and it was considered strange at the time. In the Middle Ages, it was believed that the devil was left-handed. Therefore, if you were left-handed, you were an accomplice of the devil. 5. If you were a cat, you were also out of luck. Cats were considered devilish creatures. This is why, in medieval paintings, cats are depicted so grotesquely. So, if you were a cat owner, your neighbors would think you were gathering an army of Satan that needed to be eradicated immediately. It's a pity, isn't it? Because in large numbers, they might have saved the Middle Ages from the plague by catching all the rats. 4. Double yolk eggs. According to 16th century French beliefs, only spoiled hens could lay eggs with double yolks. It was considered strange at the time. For example, a witch could be responsible for this, and these eggs were intended for dark magic. 3. Strange behavior. Sometimes people really did start behaving oddly and suspiciously due to mental issues and various disorders. When a person even slightly went mad, they were in big trouble. People at the time had no basic understanding of such phenomena, and, of course, rushed to attribute it to evil spirits and blame them. Nowadays, a person talking to themselves might provoke mild bewilderment, or no reaction at all. Take a walk in downtown Los Angeles or Seattle. But several hundred years ago, the Inquisition would have had information about them long ago. Things ended very quickly for the victim in those times. 2. Working as a midwife. The Inquisition had a disdainful attitude toward midwives. It was believed that these women possessed secret knowledge, which allowed them to help birthing mothers on one hand and harm anyone they disliked on the other. In general, women with certain skills and knowledge were always condemned by men. Where else could they have gotten them except through witchcraft and whispers of the devil? 1. If your milk goes sour. Yes, you're right. It was believed that a witch could be tested with milk. If a vessel of milk or butter near such a woman soon spoiled, it was her fault. Historical sources often omit conditions for storing food and its expiration dates. So, if you often let dairy products spoil, think about it. Are you a witch? You can breathe a sigh of relief that we live in the 21st century. 0. Beauty. I know this 0 is not a natural number to denote a rank, but 11 reasons you'd be called a witch would sound strange. A slim figure in the Middle Ages could be grounds to accuse a woman of witchcraft. Think about it. How could a lady weighing at least 140 pounds sit on a broomstick and lift off the ground? All women with what we now call a model figure were under suspicion. Witch properties were attributed to young, beautiful women, believing it made it easier for them to ensnare people. So, the medieval opinion was all beautiful women are witches. Moreover, this was usually said with a tone of resentment. Nowadays, if you call a girl a witch, she might get offended, and completely in vain. The detractors have no idea what a compliment they are giving to women.